Welcome to the Travel and Beyond podcast with me, Daisy Ayres. Come with me on this incredible journey as I share my experience of immigrating from the UK to Australia and everything life throws at me in between. Join me for candid conversations, unfiltered advice, and moments of laughter as we shine a light on the highs and lows of this adventure. Hi everyone, it's Daisy. This episode is back with Tate, and this is part 1. Part 2 will be released in a few weeks' time. Hope you enjoy. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Travel and Beyond podcast with me, Daisy Ayres. So this week I'm so happy because we've got Tate back on. So if you haven't already listened, Tate came on earlier on in the podcast and was talking to us about her journey today. And at the point that Tate spoke to us, she hadn't yet had her visa accepted. They were planning to go on a tourist visa and wait for the approval to come in whilst they were onshore in Australia. And so much has happened since then. We just said, we were just chatting before, so we don't actually know where to start because there's been so much that's happened. And although I've been speaking to Tate on WhatsApp most days, I still feel like there's so much that Tate could probably talk about to us. So we're just going to go through kind of what's happened to this point and hopefully get some useful information for people that are still in the process or thinking about going through the journey, just so we can learn from what Tate's been through and also just hear about your story, because I've been following your Instagram. My sister follows your Instagram. My friend follows your Instagram. Aaron is obsessed. He's like, what's Tate been doing? Everyone's just loves hearing and seeing what you've been doing. So I think if people don't follow your Instagram, I'll put it in the show notes. Follow it because you upload things that you're doing. It's just day-to-day things.
Yeah.
But it's so nice to see what your life is like now you're over there.
Yeah.
So let's go back to, because obviously, let's go back to you. Originally, when we spoke, you didn't have your visa. And then not long after we spoke, you did actually get your visa grant, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, so it was the 15th that we got our visa grant, and on the 13th, which was a Monday, we applied for our tourist visas. So they came through straight away because I was like, I just need to be able to get into the country. It didn't matter whether it was a tourist visa or our residency. We just needed to be able to get in because we had our flights booked. So yeah, that on the Monday I did that, and on the Wednesday, I think it was Wednesday morning, I got the call. Or I might have got the call Tuesday evening, which was Wednesday in Australia.
Yeah.
And yeah, Jenny called us, and I missed it at like 11:38 at night on the Tuesday, and then I woke up at 4:00 in the morning because we were waiting for news on whether or not we'd got our house. So I woke up at 4 and I didn't have any news about the house, but I saw this missed call from Jenny, and I was like, oh my God. Like, I couldn't go back to sleep because I didn't know whether she was ringing to tell me if it had been declined, or I didn't know whether to get excited because it had been approved. Like, you just don't know. So that was a bit. Oh yeah, I laid there for like, she rung me back at 8 in the morning, so I was awake for sort of 4 hours before I got the news that we'd actually got it. But everyone was like, oh, you must be buzzing, and I was sort of like, I'm not buzzing, I'm just relieved. I'm so glad it's over.
Yeah, the sickness, like that last few months, especially once you booked your flight without knowing if you had your visa.
Yeah,
you must have just had a knot in your stomach.
It was just knowing that we were going to go, making sure that we had enough money, that if it didn't come in for another couple of months, that we would be okay. Because it's not even like you can say, oh, we're at 11 months, it'll be here by 13 months, because you just don't know.
No,
you literally don't know.
No, you don't.
And there is still people. I saw a post the other day that someone's got to 12 months of waiting. And I'm thinking, I was like 11 months and a week when mine come through. And most people at the moment now seem to be around 11 months from what I can see. So if I got to 12 months, I would have been losing my mind, I think.
Yeah.
Just not knowing what was going on.
That was so good when I saw the message. You sent me a message saying you got approved. It was just, I was so happy for you. So I just knew how much you needed that.
Yeah.
Just for peace of mind.
And that is it. It's just peace of mind, because we planned to have the time off anyway. Like, we were going to have more time off, but I've probably spent more than I should have done. Not because it's expensive, because it's really not. Like, I've just bought things that probably could have waited until I was working, but I wanted it, so I bought it because YOLO.
Yeah.
I'm living my best life right now. Why not?
Exactly. So let's top level update. Where are you at now, and what are you doing now?
So we are settled. We've been in the house 5.5 weeks, I think, in Pimpama, which is like, I don't know, about half hour from Surfers. Starting jobs this week. Well, I've done a day last week, just like a bit of training, and then I've got 2 days this week for a bit more training, and then it's full time after that, just doing admin for a company, a plumbing and electrical company. It's the same as what I was doing in the UK really before. But yeah, do you know what? It's one of them. There's just so, like you say, so much to talk about. I can't even really
Yeah.
evaluate where we're
No.
at right now, because we sometimes just sit back and we're like, how have we got to this point? It's been mental. It's been such a journey.
It's really weird though, because watching your stuff on Instagram and talking to you, it feels like you've been there forever. When you say, like, I think the other day we were chatting, you said you've only been there like 5.5 weeks. That seems so weird to me, because I feel like you've settled in really well. You seem to have made friends. You've been out and about and done a lot of stuff. You found a job. I think you've done that really quickly, to be honest.
I don't know. Because we just didn't know what to expect. I think making friends, definitely, we've made friends really quickly, and that's through like Facebook groups. Literally, I've spoken to like random people and just been like, yeah, let's meet up, and everyone's really, really welcoming, which is really nice, because otherwise I think it would be a struggle. But I also do think like you have to put yourself out there. You can't be one of those people and expect people to come to you, because it just won't happen.
No.
Everyone's so busy in like their everyday lives, and I feel like although they're busy, they're sort of not busy and wrapped up in work, like everyone's just living their best life.
Yeah. And are most
But
of the people you've made friends with expats as well?
yes, everyone that we've made friends with are British. When we met them, had been here 2 weeks, and then one of them had been here 4 weeks. One of them was also from Portsmouth, and they'd been here 8 weeks at that point. And then we've met another couple who use the DUC as well, who had been here 2 years, I think. Who else was there? I can't think, but yeah, everyone's British so far. We've like made mates with the neighbours and stuff, and Harry's found himself a little Aussie friend today on the golf course, so he's buzzing. But yeah, I think because we come over the Christmas period, we really needed each other. Like, all of us had been quite new. It was all of our first Christmas, apart from the people that have been here 2 years. But even they said, like,
Yeah.
it's nice to have other people to be with on that day that know what you're going through, because it is really lonely. Like, it's sort of a big milestone. I think it doesn't matter if you've been here 11 months or if you've been here 1 month. Christmas is predominantly like family orientated. So when you're on the other side of the world and you don't even know where the local shop is, like, I can't even tell you how long it took me to find bloody Yorkshire puddings. So yeah, it's just been wild. It's been wild, but really grateful for the fact that we met these people, because I tell you what, it's made the whole experience like 100% more enjoyable. It would be so
Mhm.
lonely otherwise.
Yeah, and I think this is a really key part. People that have never travelled before or lived abroad before or anything, your friends that you meet when you are away from home, you build connections a lot quicker and a
Oh
lot
God, yeah,
deeper than what you do when you meet people at home. If you make a new friend, I mean, you don't make that many new friends as you get older, because you've kind of
no,
got your friendship group. You might make the odd one, but you only see your friends really, really rarely,
yeah,
because you just have busy lives and you have your family and stuff going on. When you're abroad, your friends do become like your family,
yeah,
because you
100%.
don't, especially if they, like you say, that you're all British, you've all recently moved over there, you're all in the same boat. You just connect on a different level, I think, than
Yeah,
what you do with people at home.
it's really hard to explain. Like,
Mm,
Harry always says, "Oh, like, put a lot in too quickly in like friendships or whatever," but I don't know. I think the people that we've got here, we really have connected with like really quickly. Like, we've been out, we've let like, so Jimmy and Louise, they've got two girls, they're 15 and 13, and they've literally looked after our kids whilst we've all gone out for drinks on like a Friday night.
yeah.
I don't think I'd leave my kids with anyone like 13
No,
and 15 at home,
yeah,
but
you
they're like,
wouldn't. It's
they're really
different.
mature. They're really, I think, because you feel a lot safer over here. Don't get me wrong, for the first few days when we were in the house, we were like, what was that noise? And there was like a possum banging outside on our water tank, and like I was thinking, what have we done? Is that like everything goes through your head when it's sort of 11:30 at night, you're jet lagged and you're wondering what all these noises are. But once you get used to it, you do start feeling a lot safer. I think it's just the unknown, isn't it? So yeah, it's a really weird experience. It's so hard to explain it, because until you go through it and someone goes, I feel exactly the same way, then you don't feel like you're so crazy.
Yeah. And the thing is, everything that you're feeling is probably every single person that immigrates goes through those
Yeah.
thoughts and feelings.
Oh,
So
100%. Yeah. You're
you're not.
definitely not alone. It's just finding those people that get it.
Yeah. And the people that you get on with, because there'll be people that you meet that, you probably got on with a bit, but you're like, oh, I'm not going to
They're not
continue
my
seeing
people.
them, or they're not my people. You do
Yeah.
just meet people that you just click with, and you will probably, the people now that you're friends with, you will probably be solid friends with them now, like forever.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
we've booked a cruise. We're going on camping trips. Like we're just, yeah. But I think it is once you've like found your people. Don't get me wrong. We miss everyone from home loads, but I just think it's so important. Like I don't think we really realised how much we would need those people once we were here, just as like a base, as someone to reach out and say, God, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Because and someone to do that to you, and just someone to offload to a little bit, because you can't really do it to people at home, because they're like, oh well, it's your fault, you made your bed, lay in it, sort of thing.
Yeah, and they'll never get it. And that's the thing as well. It's not all sunshine and roses. You are having the most amazing time and your life is massively improving. But that doesn't mean that you're not going to have days where you
No.
question everything,
Oh
or you
God, yeah,
struggle, you miss
literally
home. That is still going to happen.
every other day there'll be something, and you're like, did we make the right choice? But then we were walking down the beach today and Tilly was loving her life, and I said to Harry, like, that's how you know you've done the right thing, because that child is pure contentment. She
Yeah,
is just loving life on the beach. She was just made for it.
I literally said that to Aaron. We were watching your post this morning. You'd been down the beach, and I said that must be such a nice feeling, knowing that you have put your children in that situation where their life is just going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Knowing what life would be like if you brought them up here in Portsmouth versus now what their life is like, you must just feel so proud that you've been able to do that for your girls.
It is such a massive thing. Like, I have people message me daily at the moment. How did you get there? What can I do? What do I need to do to get over there? And obviously, as well as I do, it's not for the faint-hearted whatsoever. And for me, if I could pick everyone up that means the most to me and bring them here because I know how much better their lives could be, I would. But
Yeah,
it's taking that leap of faith. It really is putting yourself in that position of the goodbyes and cutting everything off, like a stable lifestyle and a stable income and all those things, and taking that huge risk of not having a job. I mean, at the point when we booked our flights, we didn't even have a visa. Do you know what I mean? So like, it's such a huge, and there is people that have got here recently. Actually, they came 2 days after us, and they're from Portsmouth too. They lodged on shore on the 11th of December, and they've got to wait till March to be able to go onto a bridging visa, and they've just paid 6 months upfront rent. Huge chunk out of your relocation budget just on rent.
Yeah, and you are giving up everything. Like, that hit home to me when we put our Christmas decks down and we gave all of them away. Like, all of our Christmas decks that you buy each year, you buy new little bits and pieces, don't you?
Yeah.
You build up like a collection. Gone. We only brought our Christmas tree like 2 years ago. We spent quite a lot of money on it, and we're like, that kind of hits home when you're like, everything that we have built up to have a house and have a home, bits of furniture, just bits that you accumulate, that you've saved up. Like, there's bits that I'm thinking, like, God, when we got our first house, we had no money to buy that, and that was like a real big thing for us to buy.
Yeah.
And you're just giving it away. You're just, we're back to square one again. But I also know that it's so worth it. And like you say, if you don't take that leap, you don't get the benefit of the life that you're going to be able to live. You have to be willing to sacrifice.
Like, you obviously, what you're coming to. We had no idea what we were coming to. We'd never even visited. We'd not even seen the suburb. Like, we we've done so well with the house that we're in because it's beautiful, it's quiet where we are. I say, yeah, it's relatively quiet, it's not horrendous. There is places along the Gold Coast that you could settle and think, oh my god, what have I done? But we've been really, really lucky with where we are. But like you say about the Christmas tree, like I went and bought a Christmas tree. I can't even remember what it cost me, but it, in relation to the UK, for the tree that I got, it was cheap. But I had about 6 decorations on it. I was like, I'm not doing it this year. Like, it will do. It will just have to do. If anyone is following me, then you would have seen my my Christmas tree post, because I was quite mortified about it. But I think it was just, we had to write it off as a first Christmas, and next year will be better. Don't get me wrong. I think arriving in December was probably a mistake. Because we obviously travelled for the week, and then we came into this house that had nothing. My sofa got delivered the day that we got here, and I had one mattress. So the first night we were like all 4 of us in a bed. There was nothing in the house, and we were like, what have we done? Like, it's Christmas in 2.5 weeks. What on earth have we done? So we also had the pressure on top of setting up to also obviously sort the kids out, make sure that we had presents for them. And just try and feel a little bit festive, because it doesn't, when it's 32 degrees and more, and you've just travelled sort of 10 hours along the East Coast, it doesn't feel like Christmas. It feels like you're having some holiday. And I was definitely not ready for Santa. So
I think next year you will probably feel different, because on Instagram I see there's so much that goes on for Christmas. It does feel weird because it's hot.
Yeah.
It does feel weird. It doesn't
And
feel
being
like
far
Christmas.
away from sort of home, and also like opening presents at different times. So obviously we were opening presents and they were just going to bed at Christmas Eve. So
Yeah.
that was quite strange. But we FaceTime with Harry's brother a lot. And we're sort of getting our heads around the time difference. It's really, sometimes I can't work it out and sometimes I'm right on it. But yeah, I don't know. Christmas is a funny one. If I could do it again, I would have come out sort of early November, which was the plan originally. But obviously we didn't have the visas. We didn't want to risk it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't regret it. I just think that it could have been less stressful.
Yes, yeah, especially because you've got kids, because you still need to make Christmas special for the kids, regardless of where you are in the world and what's going on with everything else in your life.
Yeah. It was interesting. We still had a good time. We met up with our friends at the beach after we'd done presents in the morning for a couple of hours. It was a beautiful day. And then we came home and had dinner, and then obviously we got hit by that tornado. So that was sort of like, Christ, we've only been here 3 weeks and we've been hit by a tornado. But
yeah,
we were very lucky in that, because we didn't have much damage. We lost power for about 12 hours, but there was people without power for like, well, 5 to 7 days, and there is still people up in the mountains that don't have any power. So it was like a big thing, and obviously you come over, don't know what to expect, and then you're getting all of this horrendous weather, and I'm thinking, that's another thing, like we've moved here and the weather's been so hit and miss, but we haven't missed out on anything. We've still done all the parks, and we've been to SeaWorld in the rain, and it actually doesn't bother you one bit.
No.
It's just warm rain and you just get on with it.
Yeah, it's not like here when it rains and it's cold and you don't want to go out in it. I think it is a bit more bearable. But you have had some, for people that haven't been following Tate's journey on Instagram, you've had some quite extreme weather since you've been there. So you've probably experienced kind of like the worst of what you can in terms of...
They reckon the worst storm they've had in like 33 years.
Wow.
Hit us Christmas night, and we were in the house and the power went out, so we played Uno by candlelight, and we were like, oh, this is cute, not realising that like this tornado had just ripped through the Gold Coast and had like pulled trees out the ground and stuff like that. So yeah, when you like the next day when we sort of went out, and I went to check on a few people that we hadn't heard from and couldn't get hold of, because obviously the power was out, there's no Wi-Fi, all the phones were down, you couldn't get hold of anyone. So we took a drive to go and check on people, but it was then that you saw like the volume of what had happened, and it was mad.
Must have been quite scary.
I don't know, to be honest. I think if you were in sort of the thick of it, because like up in Tambourine Mountain, did you see my post with there was a 74-year-old bloke and his entire house got destroyed, apart from his bedroom, and he was in his bedroom with his 2 dogs. So I think for them it was probably really scary. Like, I would have been questioning life at that point. But for us, where we were sort of, we only had the surrounding weather, which, don't get me wrong, was still like 100 km/h winds plus. And we were thinking, "Cool, this storm's mad," not realising at the time what was going on. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't find it too scary because our house, it made us realise how solid our house is. But I
Yes.
think there's a lot of radio stuff that's like saying, "Oh, would your house ask you to fix it if it knew a storm was coming," sort of thing. Like, it's a really weird advert, but it basically is asking you whether or not you think your house is sturdy enough to sort of get through a
Yeah.
storm. And that's a big thing over here, because there's like they call it storm chasing for roofers and stuff, and they just love it when there's storms, because obviously there's loads of damage, loads of insurance stuff. But yeah, I realised how sturdy the house was, which was nice. It was a nice feeling to not be worried
Yes.
about the roof coming off, because that did
Yeah.
happen to many people.
So then the flight, is there any tips you've got for the flight? Because there will be people flying with kids and it is a long journey.
Yeah, so to be honest, our flight was a dream. It was absolutely amazing. We flew Singapore. We had 2 night flights. We took off at 10:05, I think, at night, and then by the time we did 12 hours, and by the time we got to Singapore, I think it was about 5 o'clock in the evening. We had an hour and a half layover. So by the time we got back on, we were delayed as well for half hour, I think. By the time we actually took off, I think it was about 7 in the evening. So I had those inflatable plain pal things, but they were just Amazon ones, and they were a godsend. I just pumped them up with the bag that they come in, and I put it by the girls' feet so they could lay out flatter.
So what are they? Because I've not seen, I don't know what they are.
It's like an inflatable footrest, so it just goes in like the
Oh,
footwell between your seat and the seat in front. It
okay.
means that the kids can put their legs up and just get a bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
So Tilly, bless her, she was sat with Harry, I think, and she slept really well. They both slept for about 8 hours on the first flight, 8 out of 12. We watched a film, had a bit of dinner, but the food was horrendous. Packed snacks if you fly in Singapore. It wasn't too bad, to be fair, because we ate in the airport
Yeah.
at like a normal dinner time, and then by the time we got on, the kids were so knackered that they just had a snack and went to sleep. And it was
Yeah.
basically night time, so they didn't get too hungry. And then when we stopped in Singapore, we got a Burger King, and then we got back on, and then they slept again for like 5 out of the 8 hours. So
That's good.
actually, we had an absolute dream of a flight, and I never want to do it again, because I don't ever want to know that it's bad.
No, but you're gonna have to. You're gonna have to do it there and back.
Yeah, I know, awful. But like,
Oh
we got off in Sydney. It was 7 o'clock in the morning. I said, I don't feel like I've just flown 24 hours.
no,
We
it's
were
not as bad
tired.
as what people think. People think when they say, "Oh my God, 24-hour flight," it's awful. I don't think it's that bad.
No, it wasn't. It really wasn't. It wasn't bad at all. Like, I've had my flight to Vegas in the summer was 10 times worse than that, and that was shorter than my first flight. So yeah,
Mm.
I just think book a night flight. I would say do the first stretch of the flight first. I don't know what we'll
Yeah.
do going back, because we'll probably have to fly to like Abu Dhabi or something flying back to do the long stretch, but then you wouldn't be able to fly return with the same company, because then you do the short stretch the other
Yeah.
way. But
Yeah.
I do think that getting a night flight and getting the longest flight out of the way first was definitely the best thing. I'd do that next time, 100%.
Yeah, I agree. And I've flown both times I've been to Australia. I've flown with Singapore Airlines, and I think they're great. I think they're such a good airline.
Yeah, it was brilliant. It wasn't uncomfortable. Like, the only downside was the food.
Yeah.
And I think that's really hit and miss, because some people that I've spoken to have said no, the food was fine, but Harry literally had like a ridiculously spicy chicken thing with blue rice. I've never seen anything like it. It was luminous. So yeah,
Oh my
it was a no from us. And then we had a puff pastry, like mushroom pie
Oh,
thing,
yeah.
but
I wouldn't eat that.
it wasn't tasty.
No. Okay, so take food then, just to be safe if you're flying
Yeah.
Singapore Airlines.
Yeah,
And
or
then
like we did, eat before and then run straight to Burger King, grab that. They've got a Subway as well, or they've got all like I don't know what it would be, Thai food or Chinese food or whatever it is that they've got there.
right,
There's loads of options. So definitely,
yeah,
even with an hour and 40, we had enough time to get food.
yeah. It's such a nice airport as well, isn't it? Singapore Airport.
Well, we just got off and we literally walked in a straight line past the food and then to like our departure lounge again. You have to go through one little thing of security, but that was it. It was easy.
Yeah.
Really easy.
And then you flew into Sydney.
Yeah.
What was it like? What was it like when you got to Sydney?
You feel that heat. It was nice. When we spoke to the blokes, obviously we had a lot of bags. We were a lot of kilos over, but luckily they waived the lot. It was about £729 we were over, and I'd already paid 500 quid for an extra 15 kilos, so they did waive it, thank God, because I was having a breakdown. But yeah, when we got to Sydney, we had to get all of our bags out of like the oversized baggage. Well, that's what they said anyway, and then they turned up on the conveyor belt once everybody else had left, so that was cool. But yeah, Sydney's, I don't know, really. To me, it was just like another airport, but it's very grand, isn't it? We got our SIM cards from there, and then got a taxi from Sydney airport to we didn't book an Airbnb. I think I did it on booking.com actually, and we just had 2 nights in Balmain East, which is across from like Sydney city. So that was amazing. The view was amazing. The sunsets. It was, yeah, Sydney's incredible. I'd definitely go back. It gave me real like Barcelona across New York vibes.
Yeah.
We love both those places. So yeah, I loved Sydney. I don't know that I'd do it with kids again until they're older because there's a lot of walking.
Yeah.
But yeah, and we didn't find it that easy to find places with like a kids menu and stuff like that. There was one place that we ate which was in Circular Quay right by the Opera House, but other than that we were so tired, to be fair. We just tried to stay awake for the first day. We went back about 3 o'clock. I think I was asleep by 5. Miley fell asleep at 5, but then we got a pizza delivery and then went to bed again.
Yeah, that's the thing. You probably couldn't fully enjoy it as well because you will be tired and just getting used to the new time zones. I think as well, you're probably more tired as well because it's such an emotional thing that you've gone through. So it's not like if you've just gone there on holiday, you'd probably be a little bit more energetic.
I think as well, if you were on holiday and knowing that you had to then go home, you want to make the most of your time, don't you? Whereas I think, yeah, once it got to about 3 o'clock, it had hit us that we'd just done like a 24-hour flight. We'd said all the goodbyes. We've cried loads. Like,
yeah,
I think it does just hit you and you're like, I'm just wiped out, literally knackered.
Yeah. And then from Sydney, you did a road trip in a camper van.
Best thing ever.
What was that like?
If anyone can do it, do it. It didn't even work out that expensive, really. But we picked up our camper after 2 days in Sydney. We went to Bondi for the day, and then we drove. God, where were we? About an hour, I think. We drove to an NRMA site, which is like NRMA. They've got Discovery Parks. I don't know if Big Four is Discovery Parks, but there's like 3 big companies of campsites, and we were sort of on Bondi Beach. And I said to Harry, "Where are we going to sleep tonight?" And he was like, "Well, we'll just sleep in the camper." I said, "Yeah, but you can't just pull up the camper anywhere." And someone had told me about that Wiki Maps, which it's okay as an app, but I found it easier to just browse the web to find somewhere to stay because I was looking on there and we were coming up like with nothing. I was thinking, it got to a point I was like, oh my God, where are we actually going to sleep? Because obviously we'd never been here. We don't know what's safe, what's not safe. We don't know what's allowed, what's not allowed.
Yeah.
So yeah, we found somewhere, I think it was about an hour and a half out of Sydney, on an NRMA site, which was amazing. We were like right opposite where the camp kitchen was. They've got all the barbecues that you can use for free, kids play area. All the facilities are like immaculate. You've got an iron and an ironing board that you can use for free. Like, it's how much stuff over here is free. It's mad.
Yeah, there's so much more to do. I think that plays into like when people say the lifestyle that you get over there is just different.
Yeah,
there is stuff to do for free, and
yeah,
because
you don't have to spend.
You can do it.
Yeah, that's it. And you can literally pack a picnic, and that'll be your day. You can go wherever you want with a picnic, and there will be something for you to do. But yeah, as we obviously travelled up, we did an hour and a half out of Sydney. I can't remember what that was called. And then we went to Lake Macquarie, I think, and then Port Macquarie. So we basically travelled 2 to 3 hours per day over about a 5-day period. Just travelled like north up the coast. After Port Macquarie, we stayed in Ballina, which is about 20 minutes off Byron Bay.
Right. Yeah.
So then we did a day at Byron. And most of the sites that we did were NRMA sites, and then we did one big 4 site, which was in Ballina, which is a smaller site, but it still had lovely facilities. We had like an ensuite toilet and shower on like our pitch, which was amazing, so we didn't have to walk to the shower blocks. And that was, I'm not joking when I say I think the most we spent on a night was like $90, so about £45, and that included an ensuite site.
Jeez,
I think I've forgotten somewhere. I can't remember. We went to one on the way which had loads of kangaroos. It was incredible. The beach that was attached to it was completely deserted. We were the only people on the beach. It was just beautiful. New South Wales has got to be one of my favourite places on the planet. Don't get me wrong, Queensland, love it, but there's nothing as beautiful as New South Wales. It is literally, some of the beaches are breathtaking. It's a pinch me moment when you're like, oh, I cannot believe that I live in this country, because it is incredible. Like the coast, the East Coast is something you could see 10 times over and notice something different every time. Go to a different beach every time.
Yeah, and you can't get bored of it.
No, you literally can't.
No.
You can't.
So where's your favourite place along the coast?
I think Port Macquarie. It's beautiful. It's got a real vibe to it, a bit of a Byron Bay vibe. So I wouldn't say as hippie as Byron, but they've got like beach shacks that you can get drinks and live music in, and like hotels that just open up the entire front of their hotel with like bifolds, and everyone's just sat in there listening to live music. And it's just that it's hard to explain, because they've got these big boulder rocks which sort of edge the line of the harbour, and everyone's painted them. So there's people that have come back like year upon year, and they've painted like what year they've been, and some people have been like once a year for the last 10 years, so they've got all of their names, like a little stickman drawing of their family, and then they've got like 19, 20, 21, 22, whatever, like all the years that they've been there. And it's just like it feels like home. It's weird, apart from the fact that I couldn't live there because it's miles from anywhere. For me, I think if you're used to like that small town life and you don't need to leave the country for any reason, because it's about 6 hours from, no, it can't be 6 hours, maybe it is 6 hours actually, from Bris.
That's far.
And it's about 4 from Sydney. I think it might even be more. It might be like smack, because obviously although Sydney to Brisbane is 9 hours, the route that we took probably worked out about 11, because you have to come off in certain places to go back on. So I think it might be about 6 hours, but yeah, it's 6 hours from Sydney, 6 hours from Brisbane roughly. And it's too far to drive. There's obviously smaller airports, but I wouldn't want to do a small Port Macquarie to Brisbane or a Port Macquarie to Sydney and then get on a Sydney to wherever and then do 3 flights. That, I think that would just be too much. But yeah, I loved it there. I would visit all the time if it was closer. It's amazing. It's on my list to go and do again, because we were only there one night, and I just think there's so much more to see.
It's not that far. You can go there for a weekend, like a long weekend, can't you? It's like, it's weird as well saying this, because in the UK, 6 hours, you think, oh my God, that's really far. Like if you would have to drive somewhere for 6 hours, you'd be like, oh, I'm not doing that on a weekend.
Yeah.
In Australia, I don't know what it is, but 6 hours, you're like, that's fine, I can do that on a weekend.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, it's because it's so big that a 6 hour journey isn't actually that much.
No, like we've booked to go, well, cancelled it today because the weather's a little bit unpredictable at the moment. I didn't want to get caught in a storm in a tent, but we're booked to go to Hervey Bay, which is about 4 hours from where we are. But we were like, oh, that's all right, we'll just get up early and set off. In the UK, you'd be like, oh, I'm not getting up at 4.
No,
but yeah, you just do, don't you? Yeah. It's just a different lifestyle. Everyone's up early. I'm not really adjusting to that yet, because I'm not quite in a routine of anything, but I'm normally up about, I don't know, 7, half 7 at the moment, but Aussies are up at like 4. They're in the
Yeah.
gym. They're going for coffee at 5.
Yeah.
They're having lunch at 10:30. Yeah, it's just different.
Totally different. So then obviously once you had the camper, you then went to your house.
Yeah.
What was that like? That must have felt so weird going somewhere that's like going to be your home in
I
a
felt,
completely different area that you've never been
yeah,
to.
with no reference points. And that's what we said. Like, we could move from Southsea to Cosham and we'd know where the local supermarket is. But we moved,
Mm-hmm.
like, we were just moving to this place. We'd followed a sat nav to get here. It was in a sleepy little street. You don't see anyone ever. Like, rarely. There's just people are not about. They're either in their houses or they're out. Because it's hot. No one wants to be outside. There's not
No.
really, you do see kids at the park, but you don't really see anyone in the street playing or anything.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it's safe enough to do so, but you just don't see it because it's so hot. We're just those typical Brits that are still loving the sunshine, getting burnt every day, so that's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, turning up here, no one tells you that you won't have any electric when you first get here. So we've turned up, we can't get in the garage because there's no electric, because basically what they do when someone moves out, they cut it off. So then you have to arrange your own electric to be turned on, ready for when you get there. Well, we didn't know that, so we were like,
knew that.
no. We were like, so what do we do then? Like, we had this camper that had to be plugged in, but we couldn't plug it in because we had no electric. So we ended up going back to another site for a night. And then I'd arranged it. I spent about 45 minutes on the phone to AGL, who were brilliant. But they then sent a bloke the next day to turn it all on. And he literally switched it on. They come and do like a safety check just to make sure that everything in the house is safe to be turned on. And he just turned it on there and then. And that was that.
So yeah, big tip there then for anyone moving over, going into a property.
Make sure you've got electric.
Yeah. So I never knew that.
No, well, neither did I, clearly. But I don't know, it's little things like there's no white goods. So we had a dishwasher that was left in the property, but we had no washing machine, no fridge, nothing like that. Whereas when you rent in the UK, a lot of the time you come with white goods. There's none of that. So I had no fridge for about 4 days, which was stressing me out because I was messaging. I didn't really want to go and spend sort of like $1,500 on a new fridge because I didn't. It was just money in the budget I didn't want to spend. So we ended up getting one off Marketplace, but trying to get a response off anyone here is a nightmare. The only benefit is that a lot of the stuff that's on Marketplace is like incredible quality. A lot of people seem to, I think because with the rental system, because they put the rent up a lot at the end of the year, people just move out and they find somewhere cheaper. So then stuff that they own then doesn't fit in the new property. So they just get rid of it. And for like next to nothing as well.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like, if I had a fridge, it would be coming with me everywhere.
Yes.
But yeah, here it's like everything's quite disposable and they just sell it. But they sell it for, some stuff's really cheap and you get a bargain, but then other things might be a little like more closer to what you'd pay new. But then majority of it is new, basically. So
I think that's a big difference as well, though. A lot of people rent over there. You know, like everyone gets a mortgage. Like you have to get a mortgage. It's not like that there. Everyone rents.
Yeah, because people move around so much. Don't get me wrong. I think we do want to get on the property ladder. And where we are in Pimpama, it's like a really up and coming suburb. So they're doing loads of building work. It's quite new. I think our house was built in about 2016. And they're gradually putting up new settlements all around. We've got loads of really good facilities. Like we've got a sports hub. The local park is incredible. We've got a Macca's. We've got petrol stations coming out of our ears. I've got a Woolies, a Coles, an Aldi, a Best and Less, which is a bit like a Peacock's, I suppose. Loads of takeaways. We've got a pavilion, which is like a pub, which does like live music, DJs on the weekend, which is brilliant. Yeah, there's loads going on here. It is about a half hour from Surfers, and we do spend a lot of time going to like markets or like the Miami Marquetta, which was amazing for food and a bit of entertainment. But that's all up the other end. But do you know what? I don't think it matters because, like you say, half hour in the car doesn't feel like half hour in the car here. The roads are so big, they're so quick. The M1 can be a little bit iffy, but it's not been horrendous. We've always been moving, let's put it that way. So yeah, I don't know. It's we've not been here and picking a suburb, that was tricky because you just don't know. But I think we have done well here.
Yeah,
I would highly recommend it for someone that hasn't ever been here. If you need to be close to Brisbane, it's a 45-minute commute. It's sort of 50 minutes on a bad day down to Coolangatta Beach, which is like Snapper Rocks, which is beautiful. That's actually New South Wales, isn't it, as well? So it's like,
yeah,
it's got the beauty of New South Wales without being 6 hours away. So that's quite nice.
yeah.
It's just a bit weird when you lose an hour.
Yes,
and then you come back into
literally
Queensland and you and then you gain an
Yeah.
hour again. That's weird, but
Yeah.
love it. Love Queensland. Love New South Wales. Oh, there's so many places I want to visit. It's you
Yeah.
can't. I couldn't say that I don't like anywhere because there's so many places I haven't been to be able to compare to. You know.
Hi guys, it's Daisy here. As I said at the beginning of the episode, we will be doing this in 2 parts. So this is the end of part 1. I will be releasing part 2 of this conversation in 2 weeks' time. I'll be letting you all know on my socials when that episode is live. So please make sure you follow me for those updates. I've put my socials in the show notes. The second half of the chat I loved as well. So make sure you tune in and I will see you guys soon.